Hi, this is Brad with Baker County Trash Pickup. Today's video is all about the 200 trash cans I bought for my trash pickup business. But first, a public service announcement. I could have killed somebody because I did not double check that the trailer doors on the dump trailer were actually secured. What happened was I washed the trailer Tuesday after a Monday trash pickup, and I only closed the doors over because I wanted the water to drain out. So fast forward to this Saturday when I'm going to pick up my trash cans, I thought that I remembered closing them, which I did, but I only closed them over. I didn't actually latch them. So I'm driving down the road on my merry way. Look at how these things are swinging wide. If someone would have been coming in the opposite direction, coming around that corner, I don't feel like it's an exaggeration to say I could have possibly killed them. If that door caught them in the driver's side, those doors are fairly heavy, and if they were going fast enough, and then what happens after, they get hit, maybe they run into a tree or something. Thankfully, I didn't kill anybody. Thankfully, I didn't damage any vehicles. I didn't hit any mailboxes. I think here soon you'll see a neighbor who sees what's happening, and he tries to flag me down in the blue shirt. But what actually finally got my attention was that I saw those flashing strobes in my rearview mirrors, and I was like, wait a second, I'm not supposed to be seeing those. So then I didn't know both doors had been swinging open. I only saw the one. So I went ahead, and this guy was talking to me about how he tried to flag me down. But anyways, this is really embarrassing, and I was like, oh gosh, I can't show that. But I think it's got more value as, make sure you're doing a walk around before you start every single day. I did not in this instance, and thankfully there was no bad repercussions aside from some embarrassment, but this could have been something that turned very bad and, could have potentially ruined my life depending on what happened. So always check that your doors are locked before you start. So back to the topic at hand, I bought 200 trash cans for my trash pickup business. There are several ways you can get trash cans when you start a trash pickup business. What most of the folks around me do is you either buy the plain black trash cans from a big box store and you spray paint your logo on them, or you slap a sticker on them, or there is a big market for secondhand trash cans from businesses that have sold off old cans. Maybe they got fresher cans that look nicer. Maybe a business has closed, and so they have sold off those cans. And that's what a lot of other folks around us have done. They just buy those secondhand cans, and again, they'll just slap a sticker over the old logo. I don't like either of those options because I don't think they look very professional. If you're spray painting your logo on a can, it's not going to look very sharp. And if you are slapping a sticker over somebody else's logo, at the end of the day, it still does the job, but it's just not something that is an option for me. So I had a company make me 200 brand new trash cans. Toter is the company that I went with because they were the only ones who responded to me. I talked to somebody from either Auto or Cascade. The gentleman that I talked to never followed up with me. So then I sent emails on web pages to Toter, Auto, and Cascade. And Toter was the only one who ever wrote back. Marty's the guy I worked with. He's a sales rep. He shot me straight. He was quick about getting all the information out to me. And the cans were to me, relatively reasonable. So I spent about $14,000 for 200 trash cans. That includes the freight charge of getting them down here. One of my best friends, Terry, you actually see him in the video in the yellow shirt. He works for a freight brokerage company, so he was able to help me get a little bit of a deal, a lot of bit of a deal on the freight. And he is actually helping me load these things. He's the one who drove the truck from the port to here, and he's been helping me load them, as you can see. And it's a good thing, too, because these cans, they weigh about 35 pounds a piece, and they are stacked 12 high. So what is that, like 350 pounds? And Terry's a big guy. He's a lot stronger than I am, so he was able to do a lot of the heavy lifting and moving these things around. They come partially assembled, so what we found that was a pretty good routine was to split the stacks of 12 into stacks of 6. One of those stacks, the bottom already had wheels on them, but because they are partially assembled, all the other ones that are nested don't have wheels. So we had to kind of pop the wheels on temporarily for the other stack of 6 towards the end, we didn't want to make another trip. We made 3 trips total, and on the third one, we threw some stacks of 12 there that, again, they're close to 400 pounds. So when you're tipping these things over, it's a little tough to maneuver them. But it took us about 3 trips to get them all 200 from the tractor trailer to my house. And now you see me assembling them. So there were, 17 stacks or something. So there were only 17 cans that were fully assembled. I had to build all the other ones. The axles are already in the bottom of the trash can, but the wheels are stored in the bottom of all the other cans. So you kind of got to dig into the cans to find the wheels. You slide the wheels on, and there are little metal caps that you have to slam on. But then that takes some finesse, of course, because if you slam on one side of an axle with a hammer, it just flies out the other side. So I had to set up this little cinder block piece of wood thing to block off the axle on the other side. So when I hit it, it would have been better as a 2-person operation, but it was just me. And of course, it's a classic 100-degree Florida day, so I'm sweating buckets out there. My tools, the wrenches that I'm using, they're getting so hot in the sun, and the black plastic wheels that I actually burned my thumbs on a couple of the things I picked up and gave myself blisters. So that was real nice. But anyways, I had, I think, 20-something cans to pass out. So I made a couple stacks just to clear out the driveway so I'd be able to close the fence over. I don't know how many I put together, maybe 30 altogether, and loaded them up on the carry-on landscape trailer because that's a lighter trailer. It's going to use less fuel to carry cans than that. I stacked them 4 high as I built them. And just a quick note on the cans themselves, I already had somebody on a local Facebook group say, "That's the ugliest color I've ever seen." And I think I wrote back something like, "Well, we don't recommend using them as yard decor." And there were some people who thought that was funny. But orange is the color of this business. Everything is going to be orange, so the cans from day one were going to be orange. Well, my wife is listening in, so I've got to give her some credit. I was going to do lime green for the color of the business, that she said, "No, it's got to be something different. Why don't you do orange?" I said, "No, I'm going to do lime green." And then I thought about it for a day or two and said, "Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I'm going to do orange." So that's how that was born. So just in case anybody out there saying, "Brad, you big dummy, why don't you pull this forward so you can lower the gate? Then you won't have to pick them up." This is what my driveway looks like right now. There is no room to do anything other than what I'm doing. I'm honestly not trying to win any beauty contests, so the whole point of this color is to get people's attention. When these cans are on the street, I want them to say, "Orange cans, what company is that?" So that's why I spent the money on that hot stamp, so our logo is there, the phone number's there. I doubt anybody's going to get the phone number from the side of the trash can, but at the very least they can get the business name, they're going to see the logo, and that was the main reason why I wanted orange cans, to stand out so everybody would see this company. The other unintended benefit that I did not think about of these things being orange is that when someone puts them out on the street, you can see them so far away. It's comical how far away you can see these things on the road. So the fact that all I have to do is look for a super bright orange can and I know, oh, that's my stop. I'm very happy with the decision. I wouldn't change it at all. Sunday morning is when I'm passing these cans out. It worked really well because there is no traffic on the roads and I have to stop and pull over on some roads that are not great. So if there's less people, that's better. I also learned you've got to put those top lids down or they're going to do a little shimmy shake down the road. But again, it was mainly for brand recognition, but it also helps me when I'm running the route to see which houses need to be serviced. That's especially helpful on roads where all the mailboxes look the same, all the houses and the driveways look the same, and I can't remember if it's before the wood line or after. All I got to do now is look for this orange can. I know a lot of people are still conflicted and do not like the idea of me using trash can liners, but until I can stop having to manually collect this trash from trash bags, I am going to use liners. The only bad things I can say about them is they cost 75 cents a piece, which I'm only making $8 a stop, so that's a pretty big chunk of my revenue spent on a liner, and it takes a few seconds. But You'll see in next week's video how quick some of these changes go. There was one house I picked up that I think had, 15 or 20 of those little 13-gallon drawstring kitchen bags. If I didn't have this liner, then I would have to touch each one of those bags. Each one could rip. Each one might be juicy. Each one might be leaking. But with that liner, I just pull one liner and toss it over. And because the liner's fresh each time, generally the outside of it's clean, I don't have to worry about nasty juices as much. Now, I know some people are going to say something about, oh, you're a trash man, you're worried about getting dirty, you're in the wrong line of work, and da-da. Look, I'm not getting up close and personal with any trash I don't have to. So if that means I spend a couple bucks on liners, that's what I'm going to do until I can find an option where these cans can be tipped completely and I don't have to mess with them. Hey, how are you?
I'm glad to see you.
I bet you are. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. So let's see, what else would you like to know? So the ordering process was basically picking a color, whether or not I wanted those hot stamp logos, which you can see a good example of in that close-up shot there. It was maybe a week or so to get from ordering them to paying for them. There was a credit application that I tried to fill out that would have let me pay for these 30 days after I received them rather than before the order started. But since Baker County Trash Pickup LLC was brand new, it didn't have any credit history, so they weren't actually able to help me out there. So I ended up just putting it on a business credit card, and I'm okay paying a little interest if it takes me a month or two to pay them off, because I'm anticipating placing these 200 cans as quickly as possible. Another video, I'll talk about some of the marketing tactics that I'm going to use and which ones are effective and which ones aren't. This house, they didn't have any trash last week. They still didn't have any this week, so I just swapped the liner over. And this is an example of one of those roads where all the houses look the same. I pulled over and I was like, yep, this is the address. And then as I went to put the can in the driveway, I was like, this does not look familiar. So, it was something where I was looking for, 1122, and I'd stopped at 1112 or something because they're all real similar. Wrong address. Now, I will say, I should not have stacked so many cans on here. Oh, I also forgot my stupid back brace again on this. I used it. You saw it earlier in the video when I was building them, but this morning I forgot it. So stacking them 4 high was okay, but one of the issues is when there are this many stacks on the trailer, there's not a lot of room to move around on the trailer. And I didn't want to drop the trailer gate every single time I went somewhere, so I was trying to work just by hopping in and out of the trailer, and that wasn't super effective. So I think if I ever have this many cans to deliver again, I will not bring any extra. I guess I thought, people were going to see them and I could be like, hey, you want a can too? But it's like very early on Sunday morning. Now, I will say, later in the afternoon, there was one neighborhood that was pretty good for walking and door knocking, and I had one can in there that I had to drop off. So I waited until after lunch when I thought more people would be up and back at home. I went and door knocked on the other 7. I think I got pretty good responses. I think there were only 2 out of those 7 that were not at home. And the other 5, I handed them a door hanger and a business card. And one of them didn't live there, but she was going to give it to her father-in-law. But all the others seemed like, oh, yeah, okay, I might be interested in this. We'll see. I haven't signed any of them up, and that's been, has it been 2 weeks at this point? 1 week or 2 weeks. But we'll see if anything comes from it. A lot of the houses that I have are not great for door knocking just because the driveways are so big or because the houses are so far apart. It's something that would probably take, maybe 3 or 4 minutes a house, and that's a lot of time in addition to driving between the houses, so I don't know. So I got off topic, but back to the cans. After I paid for them, I was quoted a 3-week lead time. It ended up being about a full month, which I should have figured because they were supposed to be done the week of Memorial Day. And so I should have known, nah, that's not going to happen, and just told people it's going to be another week. But it ended up being about 4 weeks altogether. But that's good to know, because if I get to a point where, I place 150 of these 200 cans, then maybe that's the point where I go ahead and order another 200 so that I don't run completely out and say, sorry, I can't give you any cans, I'm waiting for more. That way I'll still have 50 to play around with. This stop was a little bit of a unique one. The folks were going to be out of town, so they just left their trash at the street, so I just went ahead and collected it the same time I dropped off the new can. One thing that may make me more efficient at the dropping cans off portion, again, there's a lot of unpaid labor in this job, in having a trash business, and this is 100% one of them. I don't make any money for driving around and putting these cans out, right? Nobody's paying me to do this, so this is all time that if I had an employee, it would be a major drain. Since it's just me, whatever. I'm eating the time. It was free time anyways. I'm spending it on building and growing this business. So it has a cost to me, but it doesn't have a monetary cost. If there are not this many cans going out, maybe if I'm doing, I don't know, less than 10, I could probably fit that many just on the truck. And then I don't have to worry about bringing the trailer, which will save me a little bit in fuel. It'll save me a little bit in time, as far as there's some roads that I have to back down with the trailer, so that wouldn't be a problem with the truck. I maybe could play around with putting liners in them ahead of time as well, if I don't have to nest them. I think if I nested a can that had a liner in it, it'd probably be more trouble than it's worth whenever I went to pull them apart. So I don't know. There's still a whole lot I don't know. I'm just kind of sharing with you what I'm learning as I go and my thoughts. A lot of this is kind of like stream of consciousness stuff that isn't very well thought out. It's just what I'm experiencing so far. This stop is one I'm happy about. I've got two people right across the street that both have 2 cans, so that's nice. That's one stop for 4 cans. This will be a road that I try and get some more on as well, because if I've already got a few clients, there's no reason not to try and get the whole street. Like I've said in several of the videos, I truly believe the only way to make any money in this business, because I'm only making $8 a stop, those houses that I'm servicing, they have got to be so close that the time in between me making those $8 is 1 minute or less, right? Like if I'm going and getting a can and servicing 1 can and then driving 5 minutes and servicing another can and driving 8 minutes and servicing, like that's not the way to do it. And I've said it several times, I'm not judging my competitors in the county, but there are 2 other companies who are offering trash pickup services other than myself, and I don't know how they are doing it, but they are offering service in the entire county. And if you haven't watched a video before this one, we live in a very rural county. You are driving for 10, 15, 20 minutes between population centers, and then once you get to neighborhoods that are rural, you get to one house and you've got to drive 2 minutes down a dirt road for another one. The dirt roads that are there are not well maintained, and you've got to drive, 3 miles an hour down those roads. So my goal is to have lower pricing than everybody and hyper focus on just a few specific neighborhoods where I could completely saturate them and have 400 cans placed real easy, and in no time at all I can drive to all of them because they're all right next to each other. That's the idea. Whether or not that will actually pan out, I don't know. I think I can make it work, but it's going to take some very aggressive marketing and some very aggressive pricing as well. That falls under the category of the best laid plans of mice and men, so obviously follow along and see if that works or not, but my initial hopes are that it will. The other tricky thing is I don't actually know how many cans I can physically service. So I have 2 days that I'm willing to spend right now on the trash pickup. This is the sketchiest stop we have because people, they do not pay attention when they come down this road, and they come fast too. If I place all 200 cans, that'll kind of be a test for how long would it take if I got another 200. Because if I can only do 100 cans a day, then there's 2 full days right on the 200 cans I do have. There is going to be some point where I cannot physically do any more cans, where I need to jump up to a trash truck. But I do not know what that number is, and I don't know if that number will bring in enough revenue to justify a trash truck. So that's one kind of sort of Damocles hanging over my head that I have no clue about, is I don't really know what my capacity is for this type of work. Obviously, I'm going to find out. I'm going to do my best. I've got 200 cans, so worst case, that's as big as the business gets. I would love to grow it bigger, though. I really like the idea of having this down the road replace lawn care when, I'm 5 or 10 years older and I don't want to do that type of physical work anymore. I would rather shift risk to having a very expensive truck that needs to be maintained and might go down. I think I'd rather deal with that than the constant grind of being out in the Florida summers and heats and, doing the lawn care thing. So that's a real quick elevator pitch about why I started this trash pickup company in the first place, in addition to waste management pulling out. But with this can here, I have fully placed all my cans for the, 15 clients that I've managed to get during this first month of advertising and this first week of actual pickups. Now, in next week's video, you'll see how our second week of picking up trash went, and we'll see if our numbers finally start to get any better. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure and leave your questions and comments down below. I'm trying to respond to all of them, and I really do appreciate the feedback I've gotten so far. But we'll see you in the next one.